And I just told him how everything was, And I said, dude, if you get everything done, you get your paperwork turned in before noon Eastern time, you get paid that day. It blew him away because often it's 4 or 5 days before we get paid from the other company.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport, where each and every week we introduce you to a different driver, he or she, that works for Norton Transport and all that they do. We certainly appreciate you and all the drivers that we have. And, of course, if you join us each and every Thursday, you know this is a space where we elevate and celebrate the drivers. We like to show them our appreciation, and we spend an episode with them each week, letting them tell us a little bit about their life on the road and off the road. We got a very special guest for you this morning here, Chad Gillespie. Now, Chad, you're joining us from your home, is that right?
I am. I'm at home right now.
Now, where is home for you? We know, but share with us where your home is.
Well, my address is Holcomb, Mississippi. It's a really small town in northeast Mississippi. Heck, the town is so small. When I was a kid, they put up a red light. About a year later, they took it down. They said it caused too many accidents. So I think the population is somewhere between 600 and 800. It's pretty small.
I guess that's one of those true towns where everybody knows everybody.
Yep, and everything about everybody.
You don't want to get in trouble in a small town. It's
no, sir.
Everyone will know about it.
Yep.
Now, you've got a special run coming up tomorrow, I think. Actually, it's one of my runs, but tell us about the run, what you got tomorrow. It's not your usual pick it up at a dealership, drop it off, or pick it up at a body company and drop it off. This one's different.
Yeah, this one is in West Point, Mississippi, picking up from a place that normally builds military vehicles of all, big sizes, large, heavy-duty military vehicles. From what I understand, they're branching out, and this is going to be a service truck, like with the big boxes down the side and a crane, like they would service heavy equipment with and stuff. So we're going to go down there and try to make a good impression and bring in some more business.
Well, I've heard from one of the powers that be with that company. You've already made a good impression, and we certainly thank you for that.
I hope so. Which I'm just trying to be professional about it, and if we can get some more work in, especially around Mississippi, it'll help me to get out to other units. Connect the dots.
Absolutely, get the ball rolling there. Now,
right.
Chad Gillespie joining us here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Chad, I was looking at your biography there. You're 52 years old. Is that right?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. The older you get, the more you're like, yeah, I guess I'm 52. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, it's a odd year, so I'm an even number. So 50. Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And wanted to ask you this too. You're a tow behind driver, right?
I am.
We've got several of those tow behind drivers, and it's surprising to me that more don't do it because it's definitely an economic advantage for you.
It is, and it's my security blanket. I mean, I'm nervous if I ever have to go without it because I keep, plenty of extra clothes and stuff. I carry my food with me, water, tools, just all sorts of stuff. If you ever have any problem, you can always hop in your car, worst case, and go get help or anything else,
Mm-hmm.
But financially, it helps you get from wherever you deliver to your next place, and you don't have to. It seems to pay better the more rural areas where there's no Ubers, no taxis, no shuttles. You get to go to those places, and they generally pay you a little bit more, so it's beneficial.
Yeah, it gets you out of a lot of jams. I mean, where transportation out, and you don't have to spend money on hotels unless you choose to.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah. It's now this one that you're running tomorrow. We had to do a little research, a little legwork to make sure the tow behind would work. And I think the customer sent you a picture. Is that right?
Yeah, he sent me a picture of the rear of the unit and of the side of it, and it's a really neat machine. I should be able to bolt a panel hook to it easy enough, and then my Lynette ring on the front of my car should work fine.
Do you have different configurations for your apparatus as far as hooking up to different types of trucks? Because not all of them have the same size pintle hitch or same type of pintle hitch. Tell us what you got so that you can be, multifaceted.
I've had quite a few different kind of hitches and stuff. The one out in my opinion is the best is the one that James Page builds. It's about probably 18 to 20 pounds lighter than the next hitch. And if you're under a truck and you're trying to put it up and hook it up, that much weight is a game changer. It also has a smaller footprint. It'll fit in places where the bigger hitches won't fit.
Gotcha.
So John Page, he sells them, and he's a great guy. Between it, a couple drops, and adapters, and a stinger, I mean, I can get lift gates. I can get about anything. I've never had to or tried to hook to a garbage truck. That'd probably be tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't try to do concrete trucks. But besides that, I can hook to about anything.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, when you know what you can hook to, that makes it easier for you as far as load selection.
Yes, definitely.
Now, you were telling us an interesting story. You've been driving for a long time. Tell us how long you've been driving.
Oh, I got my CDL back, I think, around 2004. So I bought a business from a friend of mine, which was a racing fuel, distributed it all over Mississippi and Alabama, Tennessee, and a little bit Louisiana. And you had to have a truck to run a route. So I started out, with just a straight truck and went from there. And that's why I have my hazmat and my tanker endorsements and all that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Now, you started driving, or you got your CDL back in 2004. So you'd been on the road for a long time. And the way that you came to Norton Transport is a cool story. Kind of share that with us.
Yeah. Well, with the racing fuel, it's like anything else. When times get tough, you cut out everything except the necessities, and that's your home and your food and stuff like that. People stop racing. So 2 different times we had a dip in the economy that almost put me out of business. And the absolute first thing I heard with COVID, I said, I'm shutting this thing down. I got to be an essential worker. So I went over the road, and I was driving for a big name company in their flatbed division. I was there, probably 6-8 months or so. They would never get me home when I wanted to get home. When I signed on, it was supposed to be 2 weeks out, 2 days home. I think that happened once. They were keeping me out over a month at a time. And I came home one time. One of the last times I was off, and I'd been gone for a month. And I went to pick up my granddaughter. She was a year old, and she didn't recognize me. She was scared of me, and that changed everything.
That
I'm gonna say, yeah. Probably a couple weeks later, I had truck trouble. I was in Kingman, Arizona, coming back from California. And I'm sitting at a dealership, and I'm sitting there for 2 days in the driver's lounge. The company I'm working for would not even buy a hotel room, nothing. So the people at the dealership would push the truck out, let me sleep in it. The next morning, they'd push it back in. I'd sit in the driver's lounge all day.
Mm.
Well, it was a jolly old man came in that looked like he was about to die of heat stroke. And a matter of fact, he almost had, because he was stuck out in the desert with no cell phone service for hours when his truck quit on him. And luckily a UPS man came, stopped, gave him a ride. And I talked to that man quite a while that day, and all he could talk about and brag on was his company. And I'm sitting there hating my company, just wishing I had a way home. It didn't include that truck. But all he did was brag on his company, and he told me the name of it, and the name of it was Norton. And then between my granddaughter not recognizing me and him bragging on the company when I'm ready to throw rocks at mine,
yeah.
within a month, I was out of that truck and was applying with Norton.
That was about, I guess, 4 years and 3 months ago is when you started with us?
I believe so.
And that guy, obviously, he made an impression on you, and the story didn't end there. You were telling, well, let's go ahead and tell everybody who the gentleman was, because you were telling me, you shared with me who he reminded you of.
I couldn't think of his name. I didn't want to call him the wrong name. He reminded me of James Earl Jones, the movie star.
Right.
Except this guy should have been a comedian. I mean, he had some of the best jokes. Most of them were about his wife that he loved dearly, but he made out like she was mean to him. It's hilarious.
I believe it was Robert Brooks. He's listed as your referral, but does that name sound familiar?
Yes, sir, Mr. Robert. Yeah, super nice guy. And, the stars just aligned for him and me to be broke down at the same time in a little old Kingston, Arizona, all the way across the country. Because I think he lives in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm from Mississippi, and we were both in Arizona. So,
yeah, everything did line up for you.
Yeah, it worked out good. I'm going to say a year and a half later, I was carrying a unit to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was going to drop it and pick up a school bus. Well, my dispatcher said, we need a favor. We got a driver stranded, and it was a long way. And I said, well, shoot, I don't mind. I'll help out. Went by and sitting outside the building. There he was. So he got to hop in the truck with me, and we rode all the way to Tulsa, and he was surprised to see me, and I was surprised to see him. So
that's cool how that came full circle, where he helped you out and you helped him out.
Yep, worked out real well.
What's it like on the open road there with you guys as far as other drive-away drivers? Do you guys kind of build a network where you can, online, in person, where you can help each other out? Because, we all know there are challenges on the road.
Yeah, that's the best advice I could give is find you a couple knowledgeable people and just stay in contact with them. I got 2 or 3 close friends that do drive-away, and we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other's strategies. And a lot of times we'll make runs together and cut the cost, split rooms or, only carry 1 car instead of 2 cars, tow cars. And yeah, the better you can, strategize and network with other drivers, it's awesome.
What kind of, the ideas and strategy, give us an idea of which ones, what are some of the best, skull sessions, things that have come out of them? You were talking about sharing cars and sharing rooms, but other things that may have come out that people may not think about. Well,
it took me being hard-headed for 3 years to finally decide to start sticking the tanks and not trusting the fuel gauges. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness, it changed everything. It probably saves me anywhere from $20 to $50 on every load by using that stick. And you can get them at Walmart in the camping section. They're little wooden shish kebabs. They'll cost you about $1.80. You'll get 10 or 12 of them. They'll last forever.
Yeah, because a lot of times the fuel gauges, inside on the dash, they're not always accurate.
No. And some of those tall tales I would not believe unless I did it myself. I stuck the tank at my house, and the fuel light came on. So I stuck it. I had fuel. I drove it and delivered it. It was 376 or 378 miles with the fuel light on. And when I delivered, I still had just over 4 inches of fuel.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a road truck with 2 big tanks, but still, you can't trust those gauges.
That's very good advice. You're listening to Chad Gillespie here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Now, Chad, one thing I saw on your bio, you've got all your endorsements, Class A driver, and you're also specialty cleared, which means you can drive dump trucks, garbage trucks, cement mixers. And what made you go through to get the specialty clearance?
Well, my dispatchers reached out to me, and she said there'd be some good opportunities, and not just everybody could do it. And she asked if I was interested, and I said, sure. And just a day or 2 later, she called me. She said, can you run to Birmingham Friday? Be there at 7 a.m. I said, sure. They need you to drive an electric garbage truck. So I'd never drove an electric anything besides a golf cart. And they paid me good money to go over there and drive it around Birmingham with an engineer sitting beside me. And really all they wanted me to do was he directed me where to go, and he wanted to see if I could fit it in the parking places where they charged the Teslas and the little Priuses and all that. And it was a fun day, but it's some tight places in Birmingham.
Was it a show truck event or a dog and pony show?
It was a prototype. It was their second prototype.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget what they call it. They had a name for the first one. This was beta something, but it's a prototype garbage truck. And they were trying to figure out how many places they could charge it within 20 miles of their dealership. So,
gotcha. Any major differences between driving an EV and a gas diesel one?
Well, I tell you, if the hydraulic pumps or air pumps, if nothing's running on that truck and you're going down the road, it's silent. All you hear is the tires on the pavement. It's a really strange feeling not to have any sounds at all. And the acceleration's incredible on those. As you give it throttle, it doesn't build power. It's already got power.
Right.
It just accelerates like a automobile. It doesn't accelerate like a big truck. It just takes off.
Wow, that's cool. Now, you just stayed around the Birmingham area during this transport?
It was, and then I got back, and then they had a few trucks they wanted me to move around for a photographer to take some pictures. So I moved around some trucks on their lot just for the photographer to make some little screenshots and stuff of.
That's
some
cool.
Advertisement.
You never know what a day's going to hold in Driveaway.
No, it's always something different.
Now, I was going to ask you this. I saw in your classifications here, you're manual certified there. We see some drivers that are not, but do you think that's more a byproduct of being 52 years old when back in the day just about everything was a manual transmission?
I think it's got a lot to do with it. Yeah, and I didn't want to go get in a truck and not be able to drive it. I could have I had my Class Bs for years. That's what I started out with, Bs with hazmat, and I had manual and everything. And I was just going to take a Class A test just with my pickup and a 48-foot gooseneck trailer. Well, they said, well, your truck's automatic. You'll have a manual and restriction. I said, well, I don't want that. So I went and rented a truck to do my driving test with.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to limit yourself.
No. And honestly, 9 out of 10 trucks that we get in now are automatics. But just last week, I moved 4 trucks, and 3 of them were standards, and that was odd. I've never had 3 out of 4 before.
Kind of put you back in time there a little bit.
Definitely.
Speaking of time, I was looking at your on-time percentage for this year, quarter to date. Do you have any idea what your on-time percentage is? It's good.
I hope it's decent. I know it didn't start out that great because I was delivering a day early often, and that was kind of frowned upon, and I didn't know it. But I hope it's good.
Well, customers will never complain if it's a day early. I'm sure you don't run into that. They're like, oh, yeah, my truck's doing great. 88% on time. 88% for the quarter. That's good. That's very good. And I was looking here also, your total miles, average miles per month. Do you kind of try to stay in the Southeast, or what's your preference?
If the weather's okay, I like Ohio. I like Chillicothe. I like getting those new Kenworths and carrying them to all the bodybuilders up there, the ones that build the dump trucks or the tankers or, construction stuff. But I do like the South. Mm-hmm. And I drive for another company, so that's the reason my miles are kind of low.
Right.
At one time, I drove for 6 companies, and honestly, that's just too much. Wow. There for a year or two, I drove for 4. And just this past year, I decided I've got 2 favorites. So I just cut it out, and I've got 2 favorites. I got Norton and one other company, and they really work well together.
That's cool. I mean, you got to tie it together, make the ends meet. And I was just going to ask you, how'd you manage working for 6 different companies?
It wasn't easy. It's hard enough to keep one person happy, but that many people, it's just no way. It's just impossible because you got extra load board to help connect your loads, but often it still doesn't connect. And I was going, and I'd go over 30 days without running one for somebody, and then some of them were kind of lenient, and some of them were kind of strict about it. So it was just better to leave on good terms and pick out my favorites that really fit me. Another company might fit their style or the way they like to run, but I like staying, usually within a day's drive of home. I've got 2 parents that's still here, so anything happens, I want to be able to get home to them, or any kind of emergency.
Mm-hmm. That's certainly reasonable and understandable. Now, you said you had your own truck and your own company. Was this from the racing days or separate?
The racing fuel. Yeah, I sold racing fuel, and I delivered it all over Mississippi, up in Memphis and Jackson, Tennessee, down to the edge of Louisiana, even over to Steele, Alabama, and just all over. That's where I made a route every week. So.
That's fascinating. I want to save some of that for next week because you're definitely a fascinating guy, and we love talking with you. You're listening to Chad Gillespie here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Chad, if somebody was considering getting into Driveaway, you're obviously very experienced at Driveaway, working for 6 companies at one time, been with us for 4 years and 3 months. What would your counsel, your advice be to somebody who may be on the fence?
Well, I'll tell you, I've got a couple on recently, and one of them's a close friend of mine that drives for my other company. We drive together and partner up. And I just told him how everything was, And I said, dude, if you get everything done, you get your paperwork turned in before noon Eastern time, you get paid that day. It blew him away because often it's 4 or 5 days before we get paid from the other company. Mm-hmm. And the other company is a great company, but some days we may have 10 trucks on the load board. We may have 25. I showed him Norton's load board, and he scrolled and scrolled and scrolled at all the loads. I said, dude, now understand, this is a slow time of year, and it blew his mind. He'd never saw that many loads to choose from.
It's good to have that. I mean, that buffet of loads to choose from there. And you're right. I mean, I guess it was in the wintertime when you were showing this to him, when the slow time of the year.
It was. Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the winter of last year.
Okay.
Yeah, in the fall.
Gotcha.
And everybody was slow. At that time, most people didn't have but 10 moves on their board, and Norton still had probably, 75 or more.
Yeah, we try to keep it active and keep it healthy there as far as the number of loads because we got to feed you guys, man, and you got to feed your families.
it helps us connect the dots a lot more, and keep the deadhead down.
Right. You're listening to Chad Gillespie here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And if you've been joining us on this episode, you've heard Chad mention his past in racing. We're going to dig deep into that next week with Chad. And Chad, I just wanted to, before we sign off this week, anything you want to share with us about what you've learned from Driveaway?
Just be nice to everyone. It's amazing how much a smile can bring out the best in folks. And if you walk up with a terrible attitude, you're going to get it right back at you. Truck driver is hard enough job as it is without having bad attitudes. So you just help everybody you can, and everybody get along.
You heard it right here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Chad Gillespie. A smile goes a long ways. Chad, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.